Hello, everybody. I'm Hope Maxwell with Spring Yoga, and I am interviewing Stephanie Levine. Did I say that right? Or is it
Levine?
Levine, okay. Delightful soul. And she is actually, and I'm going to say this wrong because I never know, is it Ayurveda or Ayurveda?
Ayurveda.
Ayurveda health counselor, also a certified art and yoga therapeutic specialist. Stress management consultant and a Reiki master, or just practitioner? Practitioner. So welcome to the chat. I like to bring different people from backgrounds in holistic health coaching or just wellness to kind of open up a dialogue for people who might be confused about all this information overload that we have, and kind of clear up misconceptions about certain things, because we know in the holistic world things can be kind of hoo-hoo or voodoo, or people get scared about certain things. I know when I was talking to Catherine, talking about the hypnosis, all these myths of hypnosis came up. So I'm sure there's many of those about Ayurveda. And I'd like to just kind of chat about your event that's coming up, which is Art and Yoga Emotional Healing Series at the studio. So if you could just take a few minutes to kind of discuss the event and maybe how it's broken up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a three-day event over the course of 3 consecutive weeks. You can join one or all 3 of the workshops. And they're all structured in a similar way, and they all bring in elements of Kundalhini Yoga, Ayurvedic principles, and art expression. And what you will learn in this workshop is exploring the deeper emotions we all experience from one time or another: anger, depression, and anxiety and stress. And we look at it from an understanding of what are the energies that make up these emotions, helping us to better understand them so that we can manage them, work with them, release them, and eventually heal from these feelings, thoughts, memories that we all carry with us, that are heavy emotions. We will look at it through the lens of Ayurveda and get a foundation, a general understanding of what Ayurveda is, and Kundalhini Yoga as well, explain how that differs from some of the other yogas that you may have taken in the past, like Hatha, Vinyasa. There is some differences there, and it's a more of a focus on not just the physical body, but the subtle bodies, and moving energy to release blockages and get them to flow and exit, and get that latent creative energy to rise within us. And whether it's over the course of a couple of hours, a day, lifetimes, the goal is to be in a neutral state and eventually have that energy rise and reach enlightenment.
It's such an interesting mix of different practices too. I know that Kundalini works with energy a lot, and I think there's a big one of the biggest confusion things people might have is what is energy, right? So energy can mean a lot of different things to people, or the definition of energy is. So I know that when you're talking about releasing an emotion or trying to maybe move it to a different space, or not hold on to it, or use the energy of that emotion to help control certain parts of your life, right? I think people, I don't know if they're going to quite understand, like, how am I going to actually let this thing go? So how would you describe using these different modalities helps to release them?
Okay.
And also, before you answer that, does the person have to be kind of set that intention that this is what I'm trying to do, or do anything before they come to this event?
There's nothing I don't think that you need to do prior to coming to this event, other than being open to whatever surfaces. Sometimes we're just going with the flow and seeing what comes up. Sometimes there's going to be memories, thoughts that are so deep rooted that you didn't even know you had, that through moving this energy, which we'll get to in just a minute, and giving it a space, a home in the form of something tangible on paper or whatever medium we are using, you're expressing your thoughts and your feelings in a way that is invisible, but absolutely exists, because images are real, feelings are real. They exist, but they're not out in the physical world yet. As we move them from inside, getting out of our head, and getting it onto something that we can feel and touch and look at, it allows us to see it in a different way, getting in touch with our higher self. It's how our soul speaks to us. And have a dialogue with that expression, even if it's just journaling. It's getting it out of the physical body, something that is not physical and not tangible, and being able to touch it, feel it, give it form, to see it, and let it speak to us, and let us intuitively decipher and communicate with that information. And that's where the healing begins, because we see it in a different light. We're getting out of our head and into our neutral meditative space, into that mindset where it allows our soul to speak to us rather than our ego. And in a communal setting especially, we are all brought to a space for a reason. We're all energetically connected.
Right.
And our souls are connected. So your piece of art speaks to my soul as well. It may be a different message, but my soul can look at your art and give me information that I need to grow from and to heal from. So big things happen in groups and community. As
I totally believe that. Just being in a yoga community for the time I've had the studio and doing women's circles and things like that, there's so much power in it. And I feel like a lot of times people don't know, and that's why I think your workshop will be so successful to people, is because they don't know that they can do that. They don't know that they can take this thing that's tied up space within their cells for so long. Many of them, many years, like they're probably bringing up stuff from like childhood and stuff like that. And they're going to finally get an opportunity to be able to deal with this outside of themselves.
Yes,
which
and
I think is awesome.
In a safe space like this, and again, working with the neutral meditative mind, it helps us put the ego aside for now, to rise above and take a helicopter view of what's going on without being physically and egotistically immersed in those issues and drama and emotions that we're experiencing. We're going to learn to look at it from a neutral space, to understand it, to grow from it. I mean, that's all that life is, just an experience. Good or bad. As humans, we label it. There are no good and bad in any situation. It's just is. And our job is to look at it and grow from it and learn from it. And I think when you're able to see the meaning in something, it's easier to put it aside and move on. The memories, they'll always be there.
Right.
We want them to just be memories, and just like watching something on television just go by, but not have that attachment anymore to it.
Yeah. So someone who may be trying to solve or deal with some really horrible trauma, do you feel like they would be safe in this space of trying to heal from that? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I do. If they can bring up, or if something comes up, it's a safe space to experience it and also to learn to look at it and understand it. And then you use that information, and you are able to, when you leave this space, when you leave this workshop, to then be able to talk to a therapist or a close friend or a close family member to further explore these emotions. They may, or it depends on the individual. They may have a profound experience. Others may just be learning how to deal with experience that may come up in the future. But for someone who something traumatic comes up, again, it's a safe space to be able to breathe and breathe through the emotion, rise above it, look at it from a different understanding, and then to take that with you if you need to still work through it, because that's important. I mean, if something really comes up, you need to still work through it. I mean, it just doesn't disappear in a day just because you get
Yeah. I mean, obviously if it comes up, that's the thing that you need to deal with, right? And maybe, and I think some people might even could come to this not even knowing, because sometimes you can't identify, like, what is the thing that is keeping me from doing all this? What is there?
Why am I having panic attacks all week?
Yeah. So like, what is the thing that's causing me to have all this stuff? So someone who is maybe not even knowing, like, you're going to have people who know I have an anger problem. I know I have anxiety. But if you have people who are experiencing stuff in their life that are like little, what do you call them? Like the side effects of these emotions could benefit from this workshop as well.
Anybody can benefit, even if you are not an anxious person or a depressed person, although we all experience these emotions on some level throughout our day and throughout life. And that's the beauty of this. I mean, from an Ayurvedic perspective, and I'll explain in just a minute the basic principles and foundations of Ayurveda, looking at it through a lens, Ayurveda teaches us to understand ourselves as unique individuals and how we can live in balance with our environment around us. What are those things that are causing our anxiety? And understanding the energies that make up me as an individual, what out there can I use as medicine, a tool? And in Ayurveda, everything is medicine. You have to understand the energies to balance and offset those emotions that I'm feeling so that I'm back to where my natural balance is. And that's different for me than it is for you. And in Ayurveda medicine, no two people are treated alike, because everybody's like a fingerprint. Your individual constitution is different. We all have different proportions of the governing forces, which are called Vata, Pitta, Kapha, which are made up of the 5 great elements, which is the foundation of Ayurveda. Everything in the universe, including ourselves, the book, this table, this computer, is made up of some proportion of the great 5 elements: space, ether, air, fire, water, earth. And if you understand the qualities that make up the elements, and in Ayurveda we look at 20 qualities, which come to 10 pairs of opposites, like hot, cold, moist, dry. There's 20 main ones that we look at. And if you understand the qualities in the weather, in the season, in the food you're putting on your table, and the spices that you're using, and the colors that you choose to put on your body or in your home, you'll understand how you could stay in balance and what's easily going to push you out of balance. And for example, on our first workshop night, we're learning about anger. Anger is the element of fire. Well, from an Ayurvedic lens, we will learn, well, what are the qualities of fire? What balances fire? And then we'll go through the 5 sense therapies that Ayurveda uses to balance the imbalances: touch, sound, taste, just go through those, and we'll learn like which essential oils, massage techniques, exercises. Certain exercises are better for you than they are for me. They may put me out of balance. I know as Vata, which is constant movement, if I run the block 8,000 times, I'm going to make myself crazy. That's too much movement. I need to stabilize myself. So sitting in the park or doing yoga on the ground, restorative yoga, it's actually more beneficial for me as Vata with anxiety tendencies, because that's all nerves and motion, and your neurons are constantly moving. Vata is made up of air and ether, for example. And we're talking space and a lot of movement. So to balance that, we're looking at warmth and stabilizing heavy qualities, which are kapha qualities.
Yeah, I feel like this, someone who is maybe even trying to get in touch with their intuitive side, this would be a great bridge, just looking even deeper into Ayurveda. Yoga, the yoga industry, I see a lot of people coming through, teachers and students. And, you can kind of start to see, I guess it'd be almost like a doctor or a counselor or something. You start to see these same body figures, and you can kind of see, like, there's a couple of people that I've run into before, like you're talking about, they're burning themselves out trying to do like 1,000 yoga classes a week. And they're actually damaging themselves more because, like you said, maybe they feel like they need to move, but maybe they're just, it's not in their nature to do that. And it's harming them more. And they're like on burnout mode.
Our first, the anger. If you happen to be a Pitta person, which is the qualities of fire with a little bit of water, because then there's no water there to offset the fire, our body within us would just burn and implode. But a Pitta person who tends to be more judgmental, critical, because we're talking, there's a lot of heat in the body, right?
Yeah.
Personality-wise, when off balance, when they're off, they can be very judgmental, critical. They get angry very easily. They're prone physically to inflammatory issues, where there's heat involved, stomach ulcers, heart, blood, spleen, liver issues. And even balance, they're still very focused, very intense, very driven. Those are your leaders, your CEOs, the people who carry that torch, the motivational speakers that are just real out there, it's that light, that clarity, that intensity that attracts people and draws people to them and follow them. But they have to be careful because they can burn out. They push themselves too hard. And imagine a Pitta person in a hot yoga class and they don't understand their own nature. That will aggravate Pitta. They think they're doing good because they're pushing themselves. This is an intense class. This is for me. But that's for a kapha, if anybody. Kapha is those cooler, heavier qualities that balance. The hot yoga classes would help balance them a little bit more, maybe even Vata a little bit, but definitely not. That's not a place for Pitta. They need to be cooling exercises. We want to cool down Pitta. And that's what you'll see in each workshop. Actually, it works out like anxiety and fear are more Vata qualities. So we'll be learning a lot of Vata balancing tips in the anger and fear, stress workshop. Depression is more kapha qualities. So we'll learn how to balance kapha qualities. And you don't have to be a kapha person to experience depression. You could be a Vata person experiencing depression. But that's where but you still treat the disease first in moderation. That's why it's important to know who you are individually as well, because it may match or not match your imbalance that you're experiencing.
Yeah, that's kind of like what we were talking about before we started the actual chat, where I'm confused about my own self because I don't know. I feel like sometimes I'm like this and sometimes I'm like this. So,
and we are, because we all have those qualities in us. So absolutely. And depending on what your stimulations are and the environment that you're in, you're going to be pushed differently. But if you know yourself and you understand what those qualities are, you understand what's happening to you, you can pull yourself back in balance. Even if you're Pitta and you're experiencing a Vata type of issue, you can treat that in moderation, pull yourself back to what's normal for you, and can maintain that balance. And that's the basic principles of Ayurveda. I mean, Ayurveda is a 5,000-year-old science that came from the Indian region back, with indigenous people were out in the woods and they were so connected with nature. And they spent hours and hours in meditation and received the knowledge of Ayurveda in direct perception, directly from the universe, from the cosmos.
right.
So this information, this knowledge is not people specific. It's not owned by any religion. It is universal knowledge. And it's all about understanding your natural environment and being able to stay balanced and work with nature.
So let me ask you a question while you got to talking about that how do you feel, because I've noticed this just in yoga, especially when I'm doing like a teacher training or something, I'm trying to teach people about these ancient things, these ancient traditions and stuff like that. And then, for something that was created for like 14-year-old, Indian boys, this doesn't specifically work on my body. So, I have to kind of, my question is, how do you feel this Ayurveda has changed in order to suit people in this time, this day and age? You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah. It began very traditional, of course, in India. And it was also elite at one point. It was passed on from generation to generation, verbally, eventually written down. And then, India is a region where there were always invasions, just where they're geographically located on the map. You've got the Muslim invasions, the British invasions, and all these different countries coming in and cultures suppressed Ayurveda for many, many years until the whole Gandhi era, and it became more revived again. I mean, libraries were burnt down with all of this knowledge. Some of it is saved, and it's very sacred, and it's still highly revered today. But because it was quashed in India for so long, the West has started to awaken in this era, moving into the Aquarian age, and how yoga is becoming more mainstream, and people are becoming more open and enlightened to a better way to live their daily life. And with that, certain gurus have brought Ayurveda to more mainstream in the West over the last 20, 30 years. India actually has seen this, and they're following us because they look up to us. We're more advanced and moving forward, and seeing that we're reviving it here. There has been a revival now in India. But yes, I mean, and that's one of the things I try to work in my practice. Clearly I'm not from that region, but I want to make it work for the everyday person, because there's such profound knowledge and value, and it makes so much sense when you learn it, that you don't have to go 100% and know all these different herbs or even take herbs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really about knowing who you are and teaching people who you are, understanding your nature. Because once you learn the basic principles, it's just like, wow, you know, it's so simple, but it is so profound. And teaching people just how to rearrange your home so that the energies flow better, which is Vatsu. That's a sister science for Ayurveda sciences. Yoga, Ayurveda, Vatsu, and Jyotish, which is the planetary forces and how that affects your life. And they all are married and intertwined together. But Ayurveda is in everything. It's like I said earlier, it's in the colors you choose to surround yourself with. Because going back to what we talked about, everything is energetic. Everything is, you know, what are the energies in red? Well, they're warm. You know, heat, that's hot. Put a pitta person in a red room for a few hours. You probably don't want to talk to them when they come out.
Yeah.
Understanding the qualities that are in your food. Do you take your pitta person and bring them to a Mexican restaurant, give them some hot salsa and a beer, see how they're feeling in 30 minutes?
Yeah, exactly.
Understanding yourself. If you want to be happy and feel joy and feel good, you make better choices. It's about Ayurveda is about self-empowerment, self-understanding, and self-healing. You can keep yourself in balance. It's mostly a preventative medical system, and it's a complete medical system if you dig deeper into the Veda books and understand. I mean, there's gynecology in there. I mean, we're talking this is knowledge from before there was even a written language. Surgery and gynecology and obstetricians. So it's not as ancient as it is. It's so profound that it has stuck for thousands of years. Our medical system is 200 years old. This is a medical system that's 5,000 years old. Now, sure, you know, we live in a day and age where we have incredible technology, and Ayurveda does not discount that. As a matter of fact, it works hand in hand with modern medicine. It's amazing preventative. However, if you break your arm, you need to go to the emergency.
Right. I think some people dig too deeply into
take an herb pill for that. So
I think a lot of people take it.
How it can mold and work with modern times. Just like yoga is a practice of movement, and you know, now I think we see it more. It has gone mainstream as physical exercise, but it's still mind, body, soul connection, and specifically Kundalini certainly physically works you. However, it is really about spiritual energy and moving those blocks. You know, we look at the chakras and the nadi system. And the Kundalini is that latent creative energy that's in everything. It's in every atom, molecule in the universe. And it lies dormant at the base of your spine. And the idea is to move that energy and to move the block. As it moves through the chakras, it's clearing those chakras and clearing those blockages and helping to release those blocked energies.
Sounds amazing. Like I'm very excited that you're coming to the studio, and I look forward to seeing how people react to it. I want to just take a second to kind of go back. We can come back to what the event's going to be about, but I kind of wanted to go back to you and maybe kind of talk about how you came to the decision that you wanted to do this kind of work.
Yeah.
And like, did you have an aha moment, or like, oh my God, I've been looking for this all my life kind of thing?
I did, and I didn't even know what it was when it happened. My story is I have always found that I have always attracted people into my circle that needed healing in some way. I was always you go to just talking issues, problems, but also physical. In my own immediate family, we have some chronic illness that has existed that I had to share with a loved one for my entire adult life. And it's very difficult. And I went through my own healing journey. And a few years ago, a very close friend of mine who is a yoga instructor made me go with her on a yoga retreat that she was doing in Costa Rica. And I was going through some other things myself, just it was a personal self-exploration discovery at that time. And, you know, I went not thinking or expecting any aha.
Yeah.
It was there. I had my first Reiki treatment. I didn't even know what it was. And even backing up 6 months prior to that, the same friend had given me a book on just general happiness and health and, you know, just a self-help, get to know yourself book. And it was Ayurveda. It had an Ayurveda foundation, but it wasn't a base. And I didn't really know what it was. You know, I skimmed and skipped over some terminology. I was really looking at a different message to get from that publication. And in Costa Rica, I met a woman who coincidentally now is from another complete other country, is in my circle of my like my teacher from my Ayurvedic studies. She knows her, and they live in 2 different countries. Her teacher, that Dr. Ladd, who I have taken courses from, she studied under him. I mean, just a small circle. It was just, but who knew at the time? At the time, these people were strangers to me. And I had my first Ayurvedic massage from her. And I was just learning what these things were. They were just being introduced to me. And the Reiki practitioner said to me, in 3 weeks, you're going to wake up and know exactly where you need to be in life. I was like, okay, whatever.
A little divination.
3 weeks later, on the dot, I woke up. And I wasn't even thinking about it between then and the time that 3 week mark hit. I said, I have to do this. I don't know why. I just need to know what it is. And I really still didn't even know that much about Ayurveda. I just knew it's something I needed to pursue. And once I got into the coursework, I realized it was so much more profound and deeper than what time of the day you should wake up and what you should eat. There were psychology modules, which is nothing like what you would learn in Western psychology. And it blew me away to see that there's a whole nother level of our being. It talked about all the different energy bodies that we have. I thought we only had one body. You know, 10 different bodies and a soul and our physical body. And it was just so profound and so amazing. And from there, it just snowballed into me grabbing every single book possible, not just on Ayurveda, but all the different energetic healing modalities, mindfulness. And it's really the mind that I really have an affinity for, and how that has an effect, because Ayurveda teaches that everything exists in our mind first, things that we don't see, but it's our emotions, our thoughts, our desires, our dreams, and then you see it manifest physically. And it's the same thing with disease. You know, what we take in through our 5 senses, which is why Ayurveda works with 5 sense therapy. What we take in through our 5 senses affects us first on an energetic level in our mind, and it goes unbalanced, then it's disease. And in the modern Western world, by the time something manifests physically as a disease, that's when we go to a doctor. And by then, you know, now it's too late. You know?
Yeah.
And then doctors want to put Band-Aids. They chop off, if you think of a tree, and disease is an apple hanging from the tree. You know, you can name, you can see it. They pluck the apple off, but they didn't get to the root of what's causing that disease in the first place. And that's the main difference between Ayurveda and Western medicine is we like to get to the root first. Let's take in the correct senses. Let's stay in check there. And a lot of it comes in through first our thoughts, what we hear, what we see, as well as what we put into our bodies, food. And then, you know, once it gets out of your circulatory system, then it's starting to relocate to different branches in that tree, and then it starts making fruit. We don't want it to go there. We want to keep it and nix it at the root.
Yeah.
The root cause.
Sounds like a great, like, complementary system to have, actually, for anybody to have in their life. I mean, I've never experienced anything Ayurveda. You piqued my interest when I met you.
But see, you have, you just didn't know you did. Just in your daily life, you have. You just don't know. You just haven't learned yet how to use it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the thing about me is I really do struggle with, like you're talking about, the person that goes into the bar and has the beer and has the salsa, and then 30 minutes later, I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? My stomach is just going crazy. So I think for probably a long time, I've been working this way anyways, nutrition wise, not even thinking about the spiritual, emotional, and all that other stuff that comes along with it, until I heard that, like, your stomach is your second brain, right? I hear that a lot. Your stomach is your second brain. And now that I'm older and things are starting to affect me more, and I got to be more careful with what I put in my body and how I treat my body. And
it's not just a matter of eating healthy. It's eating healthy, using the right foods that are right for you. Certain fruits and certain grains may aggravate me, but they may benefit you.
Gotcha. That makes more sense to me now that I hear it, because I'm like, why does a banana give me indigestion?
Yep.
And it's supposed to be like this. Yes. So, I mean, so for a person like me who's knows nothing about Ayurveda, of course, coming to this workshop will be a great beginning step, right?
Oh, yeah.
But for a person who hasn't experienced it, I asked you before, is there a quiz I can take online? And then I get to it and I'm all confused and I'm like, I really need to talk to somebody about that. Do you suggest someone to come and have a consultation? And
it's beneficial for everybody, even if you're not experiencing any ailments, to come for a 2-hour consultation. You go through everything from your long-term tendencies to your short-term tendencies to what you're experiencing right now. And it's somebody who is trained to even just look at you and understand what physical characteristics are representative of Pitta, Kapha, Vata. And again, Pitta, Kapha, Vata are our governing forces within our bodies that are made up of qualities of the 5 elements. They combine to make those. So if you understand the qualities of the 5 elements, you understand which elements make up which doshas, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, you can better understand yourself when we go through these questions. And I know my packet, is pages. It's a lot longer than what you're going to do online. So it's more specific. So somebody who's trained can help eliminate some of that confusion. And even looking at somebody, well, their lips are more Kapha, but their eyes are more, and there's point systems for all of this.
Okay.
And you may end up being tridoshic. You may be Vata, Pitta, Kapha.
It's so interesting. So I had a question when you were talking before, and now I forgot what it was. So for you specifically, you found, so you went and your friend made you. Yeah, that's
what we're talking about.
Yeah. So if you want to continue that, or
so I woke up one day here and said, I need to do this. And I became an Ayurvedic student for the next couple of years, I found within that science, that complex science, where my personal interest is, as I mentioned, I enjoy the mind and the energies and the transcendence idea to be able to, that's why I love working with these emotions, because learning how to use Ayurveda to identify, to understand, and to be able to treat, and then come back in balance with emotions, not just physical ailments. I love that. I love that. And it not only heals you emotionally, it then also will manifest balanced physically. You don't experience those physical discomforts. From there, you know, I with that energy, that love for the energy, Kundalhini came to me, and I went to just like some of the moon meditations and just loved the spirit. You know, soul needs spirit and spirit needs soul, and that community. And I wasn't breaking a sweat and standing on my So I love, for me as Vata, I love the groundedness of a lot of what Kundalini is. I mean, sure, there's standing and there's great, and there's definitely the anger Kriyas movements. They're a little more vigorous because we're working with the solar plexus and releasing that anger that's there in your abdomen. But it's just so spiritual, and it's you do energetically can feel the releasing just on the movements, the mantras, which that sound therapy, those sounds have specific vibrations that change your actual cells and your DNA. And deeper, even going back to, if you believe in karmas and past lives, and it can break that pain and change some of that. And that's what we're talking energy. And it's beautiful, and they all really work together well. I mean, yoga is a union. It's yoking, blending together the mind, the body, and the spirit, and bringing the art is just it just makes so much sense. That's a perfect union, because we're talking about energy that is not here yet manifesting itself physically, but we're taking it and giving it form in something that is tangible, that we look at, again, not from our ego, but from our higher self, a different perspective. And that brings on a whole new level of healing that you can't get at a doctor's office.
For you on a personal level, is there any specific things that you helped, that you, as you use the system, that you noticed changed in your physical body or just in your entire life? I mean, what are the benefits that you have received by using the system?
No, absolutely. For myself personally, and I'm very and I changed my diet to eating more grounding, heavier foods that, again, from out here in that comfort. Just this week, I don't know, I was feeling anxious. Maybe the workshop, I don't know, getting excited for it, putting all this material together. But I just felt myself a little more jittery than normal. And I immediately had started making myself chamomile. You know, chamomile has a calming quality. I started actually taking holy basil, a nervine sedative, which, again, just is a natural way to just introduce some calm into you. I light candles in my office. I surrounded myself with things that ground me, with colors that balance Vata. Again, Vata is very cold and open, and you know, I need to, and very light, where I needed the heavier like my wood table desk that I'm sitting here, and the pages in my books, which are earth, the earth elements and the grounding. And I have a little fountain over there that has the water going, and I keep my fire lit for comfort and inspiration. And again, for me, because I am an artist at heart, I try to surround myself with aesthetic, visual things that keep me in a good place.
Mm-hmm.
You know, food, yeah, we all could do better. You know, not that I eat unhealthy, but I may not make the best choices. For example, having a salad for lunch, well, that's very light and airy. If I'm feeling real anxious, I'm probably better off with something warm and hearty, like
Okay.
an Ayurvedic staple, which is your, you know, the rice and the cooked veggies, not raw veggies. So you have to learn the qualities of the food, and whether the cooked qualities and the raw qualities and the type of food. It's fine to eat vegetables, but root vegetables are more grounding. You know, that's another thing that Ayurveda teaches as well. No matter what your dosha is, you eat with the seasons and you eat with your geographic region.
Yeah.
Your geographic region knows what you need at that time.
I'm saying it seems so easy, right? But people, it's just convenience. I think convenience gets us. And
our lives are so busy. That's why we can just get to know ourselves, and we don't have to do everything. For example, at the workshops, I will be sending everyone home with leave behinds of how to balance those emotions using the 5 sense therapies. So you will have that to take home with you, but you don't have to do everything on it. You know, those are just options. You know, you can pick and choose from it. Not everybody wants to put oil on their bodies and give themselves massages. Not everybody likes smells. A lot of people, you know, very sensitive to smell, and smell is not going to work for them. But they can choose to wear a red shirt or a white shirt. They're cool with that.
Yeah.
That they can handle. Yeah, or choosing, you know, a cucumber over, you know, arugula, which is spicy and can create heat. It can be cleansing. It can be cleansing, depending on what your needs are. Or picking a cooling, watery cucumber in August when it's 99 degrees outside. You know, it's just a matter of choosing what makes sense for you.
I feel like someone who also, just on the Ayurveda side, who struggles with like weight loss and just digestive issues in general would benefit greatly from something like this.
Yep. See, Ayurveda health counselor, digestion and lifestyle is a key. I mean, usually, first of all, the main cause of other issues that you may have. Much, for example, like pre-diabetics. A lot of what they're experiencing is mostly from lifestyle choices.
Right.
Getting someone who's pre-diabetic to change a little bit of what they eat and their exercise routine, getting them up and moving, choosing better foods to put in their body can greatly change whether or not they're going to cross that threshold and be full-blown diabetic, or be able to just back down and move out of that category to begin with.
It's so amazing that food can be like a huge deciding factor in a lot of people's lives, you know? Like
it is medicine.
Yeah.
Well, or it can make you sick. As with almost any lifestyle choice.
Wow. Okay. Well, I wanted to ask you, do you have in your life a daily spiritual practice?
I do every morning and every evening. I do meditate, and I have my there are some Kundalhini chants that I love, but it's in the form of music that I'll use and listen to. And I have my routine. Sometimes I change it up based on how I'm feeling. Like this week, I incorporated at least 20 minutes. I mean, it wasn't much, but 20 minutes of anxiety balancing routine.
Okay, because you got jittery and stuff because of this.
Yeah, I got jittery. So, you work in the Kriyas that, and the mudras that, because this ignites your marma points, your energy points, and it directs energy, the mudras, as well as the chanting, which brings in energy and changes what's going on inside of you. And then the movement will help unlodge that stocked energy and help release that. But every night too, I don't do the same thing all the time. It depends on what I'm feeling, but I do. I make sure I give myself that time. But I also, every day, again, it's grounding for me. It's also, for me, it's hard to sit still in meditation. But I found that if I just take a nice walk around the lake, and I have a special little place that I go to, after I drop my daughter off from school, I'll go walk around there for about 15 minutes. And, I space out. And that is a form of meditation. People don't understand that. I mean, you can be cooking or blow drying your hair, or even sometimes when you're in your car driving, you're almost like in a trance where you're like, oh, I'm here already? How did I even get here? And those are all forms of meditation. So you don't have to force it. Just do something that you enjoy, that relaxes you. And art is one of those outlets where, you get in a zone and you're just in another place, and it's your soul that's smiling, and it's your soul that's putting those images on that paper. And that's why when we learn to look at it and interpret what we create, it gives us a whole new perspective. It gets us out of our physical mind, and transcend into something that's our higher self. That's truly who we are. Our infinite self, not our finite, transient self that's caught up in all the drama of life. We can look at it different. And by the way, you need no experience whatsoever.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask you.
Or yoga, but I know the art makes people nervous. It's for you, especially these workshops. We're not displaying art. This is for you, your personal experience, because emotions are so personal. They're your personal. You can share if you like, but this is really, just for you. And they're not a canvas that you're going to put on your wall. It's expression, and it's using specific mediums that work with the energies that we're choosing to work with, that help translate what we're trying to express. And you'll see that when you experience it. It's an experience. It's something you need to experience.
Yeah, I'm saying. That's why I wanted to do this interview with you, because I think when people get a chance to kind of meet the person that's actually doing the workshop, see what their background is and where they're coming from, and see all the knowledge that comes together to formulate these special events for people, and they realize that they're, things that are going to be truly healing and helping, to maybe not them, if it doesn't speak specifically to them, but maybe someone else they know, they can share that with them. I love that picture. That I was like, is she ever going to say something about that picture behind her?
That I love it. From my yoga teacher training course, and it was a 10-week course on the 10 bodies.
Oh, okay.
And it took 10 weeks and it didn't look like that when it started. It's just the way it transitioned over time. Each time we meditated and did the Kriyas and got into our neutral mind and worked on each of our bodies, the pranic body, the radiant body, you know, the expansive body, the negative mind. And it's just, I mean, it's very colorful, but it actually, you know, when I do a workshop on the 10 bodies, I'll bring that as an example to show the different elements that are in it that shows the ego, and it shows the soul, and it shows that relationship, and it shows how the meditative body flows through all the other bodies. It's in all the other bodies.
I know, I was like, she's got that really cool thing, and that painting is probably not this Five Below thing hanging up behind me. I'm an artist too. That's the weirdest thing is I everything I've ever done is with my hands. So massage, yoga, Reiki, everything, art comes from these. So I'm excited about you coming to the studio, and you live pretty far. So I know that a lot of times people in town will only come to things that are close to their home. And that's another reason why I do this, because I feel like if enough people see it, enough people know where you're going to be at, then they might be willing to travel because they are trying to accomplish healing some of these emotions and working through some of this stuff.
It's worth it. And Old Town Spring is so pretty and so cute. Coming out there for an evening.
Yeah. So it's going to be this weekend on the 9th. What's the next date? I wrote it.
And
the 23rd. 23rd, and it's from 6 p.m. to 9 and 8. And if you don't need any experience. We're in a small studio setting that's going to be very safe, and it's going to be a unique experience. And I really hope people take advantage of your work and all your cumulative knowledge that are bringing forth in this, experience for them.
I'm excited. I'm excited to marry these 3 modalities together, and they just all unite beautifully, and they all work together, and they all need each other.
So if you have anything that you want to, this is YouTube, so 10 years from now, people can see this video of you and be like, where's Stephanie now? No, if you could relay a message, or if there's something that you want to say to everybody, what would that be?
I think that we have control over our own lives and our own happiness. And we just need to know ourselves and what we need, whether it's through something like this or just something, just to be more aware and mindful of ourselves, to know what makes us smile and what gives good health. And again, if you know yourself on so many different levels, you can navigate through this crazy life. And
that's powerful. So the control part, and I think that people don't know that they can have control, and they're kind of walking around with these horse blinders on, and once they know that they can actually help themselves and heal themselves and
know that we experience emotions, thoughts, drama, but we're not that. Those are transient. They're real to experience, but they come and they go. Our true self will always be infinite, and its natural state is just bliss and happiness. So it's important to be able to look at emotions and experiences as learning experiences, and to be able to feel it, feel that anger, feel that sadness, and give it time, but then learn the lessons from it and be able to keep it in a safe place, release it, and just let them become memories, but learn experiences, and know that we're not that, and not to get attached and stuck there, and to know that our natural state is happy and to be happy.
Wow. Okay. Well, I feel grounded just talking to you. I mean, I think this was a very relaxed conversation with a lot of good information. If somebody wanted to, they can attend the workshop and they wanted to get in touch with you, where would they find you?
My website, by the way, goes into a lot more detail on Ayurveda, as well as art as a spiritual experience, and some other workshops that I have. But it's very informational if you are interested in learning, digging a little deeper into the principles of Ayurveda. But it's www.delightfulsoul.com, and it's DLIGHT. The D is for the doshas.
Oh, nice. Okay. And they can contact you for a specific consultation.
Correct. Yep, on the contact page, my phone number and email is on there.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you this weekend. If I put more information in the box below with links and stuff like that, specific links for the event, but also website information and stuff like that as well. And I just want to thank you for joining me today. I'm glad this transmission worked out well, and I'm going to be sharing it on Facebook. So if you're watching this later, it's not actually live on Facebook, it's live on YouTube. But if you have questions, and just post them below in the Facebook comments, and either her or I can get back to you as well. So we're going to end this for now. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I actually learned a lot more since our last conversation that we had. So I want to say namaste and have a great day.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.